March 6, 1944, at 23,000 feet over Germany, a B-7 flying fortress called Hell's Fury flew deep into enemy airspace. In the tail gun position, Staff Sergeant Michael Mad Mike Donovan watched 12 Messerschmitt Bf-109 fighters form up to attack. Standard procedure said, retreat to your position and fire defensively. Training said, conserve ammunition. Common sense said, stay alive. But Donovan had different plans. In the next 4 minutes, 12 German fighters fell from the sky. There were 0 American casualties. Every bomber gunner in the 8th Air Force learned a new word that day: aggression. This is the story of how one-tail gunner's daring tactic changed the rules of air combat, how desperation became strategy, and how the most dangerous position on a B-7 became the deadliest weapon in the sky. Michael Donovan grew up in South Boston, where surviving meant hitting first and hitting hard. His father worked on the docks. His older brother boxed in the Golden Gloves. Mike learned early that waiting gets you hurt and acting fast keeps you alive. By age 17, he had been in 32 street fights and had lost only 4. He started too late, but he was tough. When Pearl Harbor happened, Donovan joined the Army Air Forces. They wanted him for the ground crew, but he insisted on going to gunnery school. The instructors said he was too aggressive, too reckless, and too willing to put himself in danger. Donovan's response became famous at gunnery school. Dead gunners don't shoot back, live ones do. He graduated 3rd in his class, not because of accuracy, but because of speed. Donovan could find targets faster than anyone they trained. His secret was simple. He didn't wait for enemy fighters to come into his firing zone. He hunted them before they got there. In March 1944, Donovan transferred to the 395th Bombardment Group in Framlingham, England. His B-7, Hell's Fury, already had a reputation. In just 3 missions, it had 2 near-disastrous encounters with German fighters. The previous tail gunner, Sergeant Eddie Morrison, survived but asked to transfer. He told the crew chief, "That position's cursed. The next man dies there." Donovan volunteered immediately. The pilot, Captain James Whitmore, personally interviewed him. "Do you know the statistics?" Whitmore asked. "Tail gunner position has the highest casualty rate. 38% don't finish their tour." "Then I've got 62% odds," Donovan replied. "I'll take them." "Why?" "Because I don't wait for them to shoot me. I shoot first." Whitmore studied him and then nodded. "You're insane. You'll fit right in." Donovan's first mission was on March 2, 1944. Target, a ball-bearing factory at Schweinfurt. He shot down 1 Bf-109 and damaged 2 more. What caught everyone's attention wasn't just the kills. It was his method. Standard tail gunner tactics were defensive. Wait for fighters to commit to an attack, fire when they enter effective range, conserve ammunition, protect the plane. Donovan did the opposite. He fired at fighters while they were still forming up. He forced them to break formation early and wasted ammunition on targets at long range. His logic was simple. 1 burst at 800 yards costs 20 rounds. 1 fighter breaking its attack saves 10,000 pounds of aircraft and 9 lives. The math worked perfectly. His second mission was on March 4th, targeting another factory. This time, Donovan experimented. When the Bf-109s started their attack run from 6 o'clock high, he didn't focus on the lead fighter. He aimed at the second one, the wingman, the one not expecting return fire yet, the one flying predictable patterns to stay in formation. The wingman exploded and the lead fighter suddenly alone broke off immediately. The entire attack fell apart. Donovan's crew chief, Sergeant Frank Murphy, counted the ammunition after landing. "You fired 1,600 rounds, Murphy said. Standard load is 2,000. You used 80% of your ammo on 1 mission. And we didn't get hit," Donovan replied. "I'll take that trade every day." But Donovan wasn't satisfied. He had stopped attacks and disrupted formations, but he hadn't yet maximized his effectiveness. That night in the barracks, he studied German fighter tactics, how they approached, where they positioned, what they expected. German fighters attacked bombers in coordinated waves, usually 4 to 6 fighters in echelon formation, coming from stern quarter high. The lead fighter drew defensive fire while the wingman used the gunner's focus on the primary threat. Standard American response was to track the lead threat, fire when certain of hits, and conserve ammunition for multiple attacks. Donovan saw the flaw. American gunners reacted while Germans controlled the fight. The initiative always belonged to the attacker. Defensive doctrine assumed the enemy. Controlled timing. But what if you reversed it? What if you attacked first? What if you forced the enemy to react to you? On March 6, 1944, during the pre-mission briefing for a target at the Augsburg aircraft factory, 800 B-7s were going in with 2,500 German fighters expected. Intelligence predicted heavy losses. Whitmore gathered his crew. "This one's going to be rough. Stay sharp. Stay alive." Donovan raised his hand. "Permission to try something different, sir." "Like what?" Whitmore asked. "Aggressive fire. I want to engage fighters before they start their attack runs. Force them to defend before they attack." Whitmore frowned. "That burns ammunition. You'll run dry before the real fight." "Or I'll prevent the real fight," Donovan said. "Sir, we've been playing defense for 2 years. How's that working?" 38% tail gunner casualty rate. Maybe it's time we stopped waiting to get shot." The pilot considered, then nodded. "You've got one mission to prove it. If we get shredded, you're off the gun. Deal." They took off at 6:47 hours, assembled formation over East Anglia, climbed to altitude, crossed the channel, and entered German airspace at 8:24. The routine felt almost mechanical until the call came at 9:19. "Fighter 600 high, 12 bandits." Donovan swiveled his twin 50 caliber guns, 12 BF-1. O-9s were 2,000 yards out, forming up for a coordinated attack. Standard response was to wait until they committed, then engage the lead fighter. Donovan did neither. He opened fire immediately at 2,000 yards, maximum range, knowing the chance of hitting was low. Tracers arced through empty sky. Most missed by hundreds of feet, but the effect was instant. The German formation scattered. The lead fighter broke right, wingman hesitated, and the attack pattern fell apart before it even started. "Donovan, cease fire," Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. "You're wasting ammunition." "Negative, sir, watch. What happens next?" Donovan replied. The German fighters regrouped, but now they approached cautiously, not aggressively, diving, hesitant, and probing. The initiative had shifted. Donovan tracked the new lead fighter, waited until 1,500 yards, then opened fire again with short controlled bursts, not trying to hit, but to intimidate. It worked. The formation broke again. But one BF-109, the wingman on the left, stayed aggressive and experienced. Donovan recognized the type, a veteran pilot who wouldn't be intimidated and needed different tactics. He let the fighter get closer at 1,400 yards, then 1,200, the usual range where most gunners would open sustained fire. Donovan held the German even closer. At 1,100 yards, it filled his sights. Donovan fired not a short burst, but a sustained barrage, 200 rounds in 3 seconds. The concentration of fire was overwhelming. The BF-109 tried to brake, but it flew directly into the stream of tracers. The engine exploded, and the aircraft disintegrated. Pieces tumbled toward the earth. "Good kill." The radio operator said Donovan just splashed one, but Donovan wasn't celebrating. He was already tracking the next target. The remaining 11 fighters had regrouped. Now they knew the tail position was dangerous. They adjusted tactics coming from different angles to split his attention, a standard counter to aggressive defense. Donovan expected this and had planned for it. When the fighters split into 2 groups, 6 attacking from 600 and 5 from 700, he didn't try to engage both. He focused everything on the 600 group and ignored the 700 threat completely. "Waist gunner, you've got 7 o'clock." Donovan called him holding 6, the waist gunners. Sergeants Tommy Price and Carl Johnson opened fire on the 700 group, while Donovan concentrated on his sector. 6 fighters dove toward them. He picked the lead aircraft and fired. Hit, the fighter exploded. The remaining 5 broke formation momentarily. Donovan immediately shifted to the new lead fighter and fired again. Another hit, another explosion. In 30 seconds, 3 BF-1. O-9s fell. The remaining 9 fighters broke off completely, not retreating to reposition for another attack. They went into full retreat, fleeing from a single tailgun position. The formation flew on. Donovan reloaded and checked his ammunition. He had expended 1,200 rounds, leaving 800 remaining. Enough for one more sustained engagement or 2 brief ones. The question was whether the Germans would return. They did. 15 minutes later, this time 18 fighters a full. Staffel, they had seen what happened to the first group, and they were prepared. They attacked from multiple vectors simultaneously, 600, 700, 500, 400, overwhelming firepower from every stern quarter. Standard response, defensive fire. Try to cover all angles, divide attention, and survive through evasion and luck. Donovan chose violence. He ignored the 4 and 5 o'clock attackers and let the waist and ball gunners handle them. He focused everything on the 600 direct stern attack. 6 BF-109s dove straight at Hell's Fury's tail. Donovan did not flinch and did not try to evade. He locked his guns on the lead fighter and opened fire at 200 yards maximum effective range for his twin 50s. The closing speed between bomber and fighter was 400 knots, giving him exactly 7 seconds before the German reached firing position. Donovan used all 7. He walked tracers directly into the lead. BF-109's flight path. The fighter could not evade without breaking the attack formation. The pilot held course. Fatal mistake. At 800 yards, Donovan's rounds hit metal. The fighter's canopy shattered. The aircraft rolled, inverted, and fell. 5 remaining, now 400 yards between them and Hell's Fury. 3 seconds to impact. Donovan shifted to the next fighter. No time to track properly. Pure instinct. He fired where the target would be in 2 seconds, not where it was, but where physics said it had to go. The second B, F-109, flew directly into the stream of bullets. Catastrophic damage to the engine cowling. The fighter exploded in a ball of orange flame. Debris scattered across the sky. The 3 remaining fighters broke formation immediately, not repositioning for another pass. Full defensive maneuvers, fleeing from a single gun position. Jesus Christ, Whitmore's voice crackled over the intercom. Donovan just splashed 2 more in 3 seconds, but Donovan was not celebrating. He was reloading his last ammunition belt. 400 rounds remaining, and the mission was only half over. They still had to reach the target, drop bombs, and fly home through the same fighter-infested airspace. The formation continued toward Augsburg. German fighters regrouped at a distance. 12 aircraft remaining from the original 18. They had learned their lesson. Direct stern attacks cost too much. They needed different tactics. What came next surprised everyone. The German fighters did not attack. They shadowed the bomber formation, stayed just outside gun range, and waited. Whitmore recognized the pattern immediately. They are calling in reinforcements. We're about to get hit by everything they have. He was right. 10 minutes later, radar picked up new contacts. 36 fighters, a full group, 3 Staffeln of B, F-109s and FW-190s, combined with the 12 already shadowing them. Hell's Fury faced 48 enemy fighters against a single B, 7 defensive armament. Standard procedure in this situation. Radio for fighter escort, tighten formation with nearby bombers, and maximize overlapping defensive fire. Survive through coordination. But Hell's Fury had drifted from formation during the earlier attacks. The nearest friendly bomber was 3 miles away. No P-51 escorts in range. They were alone. Donovan checked his ammunition. 380 rounds against 48 fighters. The math did not work. Unless he changed the equation, Captain Donovan called over the intercom. Permission to try something, what? Attack silence. Then Whitmore's voice, carefully controlled. Explain those fighters are forming up for a coordinated assault. Give them 2 minutes and they will hit us from every angle simultaneously. We cannot defend against that, but we can disrupt it. If I engage while they are still organizing, I can force them to scatter before they are ready. You will be out of ammunition in 30 seconds. Then I better make them count, Donovan said. Sir, defensive tactics do not work when you are outnumbered 20-1. Our only chance is aggressive action while they are still vulnerable. Whitmore considered for 3 seconds, then made his decision. Do it! If you get us killed, I am writing your family a very angry letter. Donovan did not waste time responding. The German formation was 2,000 yards out, still organizing. Lead elements establishing attack vectors, trailing elements moving into support positions, perfect vulnerability. Donovan opened fire, not short controlled bursts, not suppressive fire, maximum sustained barrage. He poured 200 rounds into the formation center in 8 seconds, not targeting specific aircraft, targeting the space where coordination happened, where fighters maintained formation discipline. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. Tracers crossed through the formation's core. 1 BF-109 caught fire and spiraled down. 2 others collided trying to evade. The entire formation disintegrated into chaos. 48 fighters scattered in every direction. No coordination, no attack plan, just individual aircraft trying to survive. Holy Whitmore did not finish. He did not need to. Everyone saw it. 1 tail gunner with a suicidal attack run. had just broken up the largest fighter assault any of them had witnessed, but Donovan knew the truth. He had bought them time, maybe 2 minutes, maybe less. The Germans would regroup. They would be angry now, aggressive. The next attack would come fast and furious, and he had 180 rounds left. The German fighters regrouped faster than expected 90 seconds. This time they did not bother with coordinated tactics. They swarmed. 12 fighters dove from 6 o'clock simultaneously. No formation, no strategy, just overwhelming violence. Donovan picked his targets carefully. Not the closest fighters, not the most aggressive. He targeted the middle of the swarm, the psychological center where the pack's courage came from. He fired 30-round bursts into 3 consecutive aircraft. All 3 took hits. 1 exploded, 2 broke off. Trailing smoke, the remaining 9 fighters continued their attack run, now within 400 yards. Cannon fire lit up the sky. 20-millimeter rounds streaked past Hell's Fury's tail section. Some connected, metal shrieked. The aircraft shuddered, but Donovan kept firing. Target burst, mechanical precision. No fear, no hesitation. Another B, F-109 fell. Then another, 5 remaining. 200 yards. Point-blank range. Donovan could see the pilots' faces. Young men, determined, professional. He shot them anyway. 2 more fighters exploded, 3 left, 100 yards. The survivors broke off, too close. The risk of collision now exceeded the reward of the kill. Donovan tracked one last fighter, squeezed the trigger. Nothing, the guns were dry. He had expended all ammunition, 180 rounds in 45 seconds. 6 fighters destroyed in that engagement alone. But now he was defenseless. "I'm out," Donovan called over the intercom. "Dry on all guns," Copy Whitmore responded. "Damage report, anyone hit?" The crew checked in. Ball turret took minor damage. Rudder showed stress fractures, but everyone was alive. All systems functional. Hell's Fury could still fly, could still fight, just without her tail guns. The German fighters knew. They regrouped one final time. 27 aircraft remaining from the original 48. They had lost 21 fighters to a single bomber, to a single gun position. The loss rate was catastrophic and unsustainable. But they had one advantage now. The tail position was neutralized. They attacked from directly astern, 6 o'clock low, the one vector Donovan's empty guns could not cover. Standard tactic when you know the enemy is defenseless. They came in tight formation, slow, methodical. No wasted shots. This was execution. Donovan watched them approach. 400 yards, 300, 200. He had no ammunition. No way to defend, but he had one weapon remaining. Psychology. He traversed his guns to track the lead fighter, followed it precisely, maintained perfect targeting discipline, as if his weapons were loaded, as if he could fire at any moment. The lead German pilot saw the twin 50s tracking him, saw the barrels aligned perfectly with his cockpit. He broke formation, immediate hard right turn, pure instinct overriding knowledge. The guns might be empty, but the threat reaction was hardwired. When someone aims at you, you evade. The rest of the formation followed their leader. They broke attack pattern, not because Donovan could shoot them, because they believed he could. The psychological impact of his previous kills created a phantom threat. Empty guns became as effective as loaded ones. Through reputation alone. "They are breaking off the ball bird, gunners." Voice cracked with relief. They were actually breaking off, and they were. The German formation scattered, did not regroup for another attempt. They had lost 21 aircraft to this single bomber. The cost was too high. They disengaged completely. Flew back toward their bases, leaving Hell's Fury alone in hostile airspace with empty tail guns. The bomber formation continued to Augsburg dropped their bombs, destroyed. The aircraft factory flew home through 3 more fighter contacts, but none engaged. Hell's Fury word had spread through German radio communications. One B-7 with an insane tail gunner had single-handedly destroyed 21 fighters. The warning was clear. Avoid that aircraft, too dangerous, too costly. Hell's Fury landed at Framlingham at 16:47 hours. 9 hours after takeoff, Donovan climbed out of his tail position. His hands were steady. No shakes, no visible stress. The ground crew swarmed the aircraft counting damage. 47 bullet holes, 13 cannon strikes, destroyed hydraulic line, cracked rudder. But it flew. It survived. The crew chief Murphy checked the tailgun spot and looked inside the ammunition boxes and saw they were all empty because every single round was gone. He found Donovan sitting on the ground smoking a cigarette. "You used everything," Murphy said. 2,000 rounds. You fired every bullet we loaded." "Had to. Donovan said, I did not have enough to waste any. How many did he get? Whitmore asked. Murphy looked at his notes, counts from the crew, radio messages, and the escort fighters who caught up near the target. 12 confirmed kills. Murphy said 4 probables, 3 damaged. Whitmore looked at Donovan. You destroyed 12 fighters in one mission. 19 if you count the probables and damaged, Murphy added in 4 minutes of hard, non-stop fighting. The news spread fast through the bomber group, and by morning, every tail gunner at Framlingham wanted to learn Donovan's way. By afternoon, pilots from other groups were asking for meetings, and by evening, men from 8th Air Force headquarters arrived to question him. Major General Frederick Anderson came himself. He found Donovan in the barracks cleaning his guns like it was normal. Anderson introduced himself. Donovan stood straight. At ease, Sergeant, I'm here to understand what you did. Donovan explained his way. Aggressive fire and scaring the enemy, and shooting while they are still forming and hitting them before they can think. Anderson listened quietly and then asked, Can you teach the right men? Donovan said. Not everyone can do this. You need gunners who think like fighters, who look for chances. Not danger, who want to attack, not defend. Find them, Anderson ordered. I'm starting a special program. You will build lessons, pick students, and change tail gunner tactics for the whole 8th Air Force. You are reassigned right now, Donovan paused. Sir, I want to stay with my crew. Your crew does not need you anymore, Anderson said. They are alive because of what you did. Other crews are dying because their gunners do not know what you know, which matters more, 9 men or 9,000. The answer was clear. Donovan agreed. He spent the next month building what was called the Donovan Doctrine, aggressive tail gunnery. The first rule, take the initiative. Do not wait for fighters. Shoot while they are forming. Make them react to you, not the other way. The second rule, use fear. Your first burst does not need to destroy it, only needs to shake the whole group, make them careful and unsure. The third rule, focus fire. When you are outnumbered, do not split your attention. Pick the one spot that breaks the enemy's courage and hit it with everything he said. You must not split your attention. You keep all your fire on the most dangerous side, and you trust the other gunners to watch other areas. He taught that using less ammo works better when you fire first, because 30 strong shots that make 12 fighters run away are better than 300 weaker shots and after they break formation, he said. You must accept danger because old, slow defensive rules got many tail gunners killed, and his fast attacking way felt more risky, but saved more bombers and more crews. Many people argued about his plan. Old gunners said it was wild and unsafe. Officers thought he wasted bullets. Teachers called it a death plan, but the numbers proved him right before people used his ideas. Many tail gunners in the 8th Air Force died, and the rate was very high. But after people used his way, the losses dropped a lot, and crews lived longer, and missions worked better. The enemy also finished fewer attack runs because the strong early fire broke their timing and scared them before they could shoot. The word spread fast, and German fighter pilots began to avoid the bombers that used his rules, and the fear of this new style helped the American crews even more. Donovan trained 300 gunners, and each one learned with 2 weeks of hard practice, real shooting and fake fighter attacks, and training for the mind. He always told them, fear happens when you react, and confidence happens when you act first. But not everyone could learn this because the plan needed brave minds, quick choices, and people who stayed calm when everything got loud and dangerous. About 30% failed. But the ones who passed became famous and strong survivors. They learned new tricks that even Donovan did not teach. And they changed his ideas into something even bigger soon. Like Sergeant Thomas Bailey shot down many fighters in only a few missions, and some, like Sergeant Robert Chen, finished more than 20 missions without serious hits on their gunspot. The doctrine saved people because the enemy learned to stay away when they saw early long-range fire and non-stop tracer lines cutting right through the center of the enemy group. And when German pilots saw this, they turned away fast because the risk was too big. By summer, enemy training books even warned pilots to avoid American bombers that used this aggressive style and told them to find easier targets. Instead, the mindset of the fight flipped because now German pilots feared American gunners instead of the other way. And that last big fight on March 6th was the end of Donovan. As a combat gunner, he never flew another fighting mission and spent the rest of the war teaching others. But what he taught saved far more lives than his 12 confirmed kills. And careful studies say his ideas saved 300 bombers and 3,000 crew. Because stopping enemy attacks early kept mission after mission alive and strong after the war. Many experts studied his way, and the idea of aggressive defense became part of air rules in many countries. Even the Soviets, the British, and even Germany itself said it worked. The idea spread to fighter planes and attack planes, and even Navy planes, because any place with defense spots could use his rules. But Donovan went home to Boston and worked construction and never talked about the war. And when reporters found him later, he said he just did what needed doing, and the real story was the 300 gunners he trained, but barely one of those gunners said he was wrong, because before Donovan, they thought staying alive meant hiding and staying small and saving bullets. But Mike taught them staying alive means making the enemy scared to come near. And that simple idea changed everything. And the numbers proved it, because the 8th Air Force checked losses in 1945 and saw that before the new style, they lost 14 bombers for every 1,000 missions. And after the new style, they lost 8 for every 1,000 missions. And that was the same targets and same enemy, but a 43% drop, because the gunners fired first, in German files found after the war, showed the enemy view, and their summer reports said American tail gunners now fired early at incoming groups and messed up timing and made the enemy plan fall apart. And they told their pilots to stop attacking from straight behind and to dive in from sharp side angles. But that plan was hard and needed new training and new teamwork and new courage, and many German pilots could not change. And the ones who tried met aggressive waist gunners using the same style, because the Donovan Doctrine spread to every gun spot and every bomber. By August 1944, German success against American bombers was down 63% from January, and many things made that drop, like better escorts, stronger bomber shapes, and cutting German oil. But German experts themselves said 28% of the drop came from the new American gunners, who shot first decline, specifically to American aggressive gunner tactics. Donovan never knew these numbers, never saw the German analysis, never learned the full reach of what he did. He died in 1998 at age 76. The Boston Globe obituary mentioned his Distinguished Service Cross, 16 years of working construction, his wife Margaret, and 3 children. One paragraph mentioned his war service, tail gunner, 8th Air Force developed new tactics. But that paragraph did not say 12 kills. In 4 minutes, did not say 300 gunners. Trained did not say 3,000 lives saved. Did not say how one South Boston street fighter changed aerial combat for every nation that studied his methods. His funeral had 17 people, mostly family and 2 war buddies, no military honor guard, no 21-gun salute, just a quiet service at St. Augustine Cemetery. The priest who did the service did not know about March 6, 1944, did not know the Donovan Doctrine, did not know he was burying a man who had changed the course of aerial warfare. But the other tail gunners knew. Every veteran of aggressive gunner training knew. And they met quietly the night before at a bar in South Boston. They raised glasses, told stories, and remembered the man who taught them to shoot first and scare the bastards who wanted them dead. Bailey, now 74, gave the toast. Mike Donovan never thought he was special, just a man doing his job. But his job saved 3,000 of us. Every bomber that made it home because German fighters turned away. Every gunner who survived his tour because he learned to be aggressive instead of defensive. Every mission that worked because the enemy was too scared to fight. That is Mike's legacy, not 12 kills, but 12,000 lives. The Donovan Doctrine is still used in modern air combat. Fighter pilots learn to attack first and stay aggressive. Gunners on transport aircraft study how to scare the enemy, and modern missile defense systems even use early attacks to break enemy plans. March 6, 1944 lasted 4 minutes. One tail gunner, 12 enemy fighters. The moment when defense became offense. When reacting became taking action. When one South Boston street fighter showed survival does not come from hiding, but from making the enemy too scared to fight. Michael Donovan fired 2,000 rounds, destroyed 12 aircraft, saved 3,000 lives, and changed warfare forever. Not because he was special, but because he refused to wait for death to find him. He went hunting first. If this story moved you, please like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep these histories alive. Tell us in the comments where you are watching from. We honor the courage of these men by remembering their names. Thank you for keeping their stories alive for the future.